Alright, so Logan Paul said something about Keemstar that he really should not have said. This guy needs no introduction. He's been in many controversies in the past, and today is no exception. Because for some reason, Logan Paul said something pretty stupid on his podcast, Impulsive. He said it about 3 days ago, but Keemstar finally responded and brought it to my attention, so yeah, that's basically what happened. And this thing that Logan Paul said was aimed directly at the #1 news source on YouTube, Keemstar. Now, before I start talking about what Logan Paul did and what Logan Paul said, I really need to emphasize something that is that if you have a big audience like Logan Paul's, or Dreams, or Ninjas, or anything like that sort of level, I think it's really important for them to realize that you really have to think before you say things, especially on a live stream. Sometimes you do it unintentionally, but if you're on a live stream and you say something that could cause harm to someone, like saying that you want to dox someone or something like that, or telling your fans to dox someone and find out their information and just post it online or whatever, even if you don't intentionally say it bluntly, it can still have detrimental effects on someone, especially if they also have a large following, like Keemstar, for example, in today's case. Which is why I don't live stream as much, and is why I'm basically a YouTuber at heart. Because if I somehow slip up on my words, it's a lot easier if I'm making a video just to cut it out and move on in my video in my Premiere Pro editing software. Whereas, for example, in a live stream, like for PewDiePie, for example, when he said the N-word back in, I think it was 2017, he couldn't cut it out because he literally said it live, and of course everyone's gonna clip it, so you can't really do anything about that. Whereas if PewDiePie said that in a video, he could have just cut it out and nothing would have happened. Which is why I sympathize with people who live stream heavily, because they have to literally put on this act for 10 hours a day of not saying anything controversial or anything like that. It's really hard. But for this case, what Logan Paul said was literally on his podcast, which he could have just cut out and just left out of the podcast. Because when he uploaded it to YouTube, he said something that really could have had a detrimental effect onto Keemstar and H3H3. Because it wasn't only Keemstar that he said something about, it was also H3H3, so I'm gonna go over this in a minute. So basically, yes, in Logan Paul's case, it is very easy for him to fix this up, so I don't understand why he didn't do that. He could have very easily cut this out of the podcast, but for some weird reason, he decided to keep it in. So anyway, this clip of Logan Paul was basically posted to his second channel, Impulsive Clips, which makes it even worse because you're putting it to an even further audience. So I'm gonna play this clip now, and you guys can see for yourself whether you think that this is bad or not.
But to have somebody turn off your power, while you're trying to microwave a Tostinos, the little pizza rolls.
They got access to his power grid.
That terrifies me because he has children.
Children.
That's what are the cameras facing? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I hear creepy stories about that stuff all the time.
Why couldn't they get a scum of the internet, motherfucker? Keemstar H3. Lord. Honestly.
Daniel Keem, he's one of the biggest, most well-respected boxing news sources.
This clip, to be honest, really shouldn't be a thing, right? So basically, earlier in the podcast, they were talking about how Roman Atwood was being sort of harassed and doxxed by a bunch of weird fans. And of course, Roman Atwood is the last person that people want to be doxxed. Roman Atwood's probably one of the most generous souls on the internet. I can say that safely. Roman Atwood is such a good guy, and he's the last person to be doxxed. And I do understand where Logan Paul's coming from. But why couldn't he just leave it at that? Why couldn't he just leave it at, I don't think that Roman Atwood should be the person being doxxed here. I would completely agree with that, and I do agree with that. The Roman Atwood is the last person who should be doxxed. But what he says after that is the thing I really have a problem with, and that is the fact that he says that why don't people go after people like Keemstar and H3H3? Now, I do have a brain. Obviously, he's not saying to go after Keemstar and H3H3, but he is basically hinting at it, which is something that I don't agree with. It's the same sort of thing when Dream was being questioned on people making NSFW fan art about him, and he basically was asked whether he agrees with it, and he said that he was completely fine with it. Obviously, he wasn't outright saying that people should be making odd about him, but he was saying that he was basically okay with it. And that's the same thing that what Logan Paul's doing here. He's basically giving the okay that it's okay to be doxing people like Keemstar and H3H3, but it isn't okay for people like Roman Atwood, which, to be honest, no one should be doxed. I don't care how bad it is. I know this might sound controversial, but I don't even think people like Jake Paul should be doxed, and you know how much I hate Jake Paul. I don't think people like Vegan Teacher, Nikocado Avocado, Jake Paul, I don't think any of them should be doxed. I don't care how controversial someone is, no one deserves to be doxed. People deserve their human decency and the right to have their privacy. And if someone doesn't put their information on the internet intentionally, I don't think that anyone should have their stuff released to the public. I don't care how bad they are. So I definitely do agree with Keemstar here, and the fact that Logan Paul should not have said that, because that just encourages random people to just go along and try to hack Keemstar and dox him. Again, I'm not saying that Logan Paul wasn't intentionally saying that to go after Keemstar, but he was hinting at it, okay? So you can't say that I'm saying that Logan Paul is intentionally trying to get these people to do it. That's why I'm telling these massive influencers to really think about what you say before you say it. And if you say something controversial, leave it out the video. Simple as that. So anyway, Keemstar basically tweeted out a response to this and basically made like a 2-minute video. So I'm going to be playing this now. And it does basically go over everything and all the points of that sort of stuff. So I'm going to play this now.
Very important stuff I need to talk to you about. We covered a story about Roman Atwood being harassed. I mean, they put bomb threats in his mom's funeral. They shut down his electric to his house. They shut down his insurance. They hacked all his stuff. They hacked his security cameras, literally would take pictures from his own security cameras in his own house and send it to his cell phone, to the point where the FBI got involved. Now, here's where things change. Logan Paul responds to this saying, Roman Atwood is a nice guy and he's got kids. Why attack Roman Atwood? Why don't these people go after scums of the internet like Keemstar and H3H3? First of all, I have kids. H3H3 has kids. And why would you even say that, Logan? That's so messed up, trying to get people to arrest. I hate H3H3. He is the scum of the earth. But I wouldn't want any of my fans to harass him in real life. And I would hope that I would get the same respect back from Ethan, that he wouldn't want his fans to harass me in real life, even though his fans did and have when he, accused me of murdering someone, even though that really did happen, even though that my sponsor at the time, H3H3's fans, threatened them in real life, even though that really happened, neither one of us, I would assume, and I hope, wouldn't want that. But here we have the golden boy of YouTube recently, Logan Paul, wishing that on us. That's fucked up for you to say on your podcast. That is so fucked up and wrong, and you owe me and H3H3 a giant apology for that. Fuck you, Logan Paul. I understand that you're mad that I said there's no hype for your fucking fight. I get it. But how you're going about it, suggesting that me and H3H3 should be harassed in real life, that our families, that our girlfriends, our wives, our children should be harassed in real life, that is so up and wrong. Go yourself, Logan Paul.
Obviously, that response was a bit of a long one, and I do agree with some of the points that Keemstar was saying. I do agree with most of the things that Keemstar said there, and yes, I do completely agree that Logan Paul is in the wrong here, but I do think the Keemstar did go a bit over the top there, because obviously Logan Paul wasn't intentionally trying to get people to dox Keemstar. It's obvious that Logan Paul doesn't like Keemstar and H3H3 from that video, but I don't think that he was intentionally trying to get people to dox him, and no one has doxed him yet, so I don't really understand the problem here. Yes, what Logan Paul was extremely stupid, and he really shouldn't have said that, and even though he did say it, he probably should have cut it out of the podcast. But it is out there now, so I guess there's not really much you can do about it. Now, a lot of people were replying to Keemstar's tweet, basically getting really angry at him for some reason. I don't know why, so I'm going to be playing this now. I don't think he was wishing that upon you. He was just pointing out that Roman is literally the nicest guy ever and wondering why he chose Roman out of every YouTuber. That is just blatantly false. You can clearly tell in the clip that I just showed before that he literally said, why don't people go after people like H3H3 and Keemstar? So this guy cut out a massive part of the video, which really does make or break whether Logan Paul should have said this or not. So I don't agree with Lewis here. I do agree that he was pointing out that Roman was the nicest guy and shouldn't have been doxxed or any of that sort of stuff. But that is false. Like, Logan Paul definitely was saying that why didn't they go after H3H3 and Keemstar? But he said go after Keem, and the other guy, he didn't have to, and I can agree with that. Logan Paul never said he said, well, why don't they? Okay, that doesn't make any sense. He never said go attack Keem. I do agree with that to some extent. Like, he definitely didn't say go and attack Keemstar, but he did say why don't people go and attack Keemstar. So he wasn't outright saying it, but he definitely was hinting at it, which is still, it's not as bad, but it is still pretty bad. You failed to see the point, Keem. He wasn't saying that you should specifically be the person who gets this treatment, but rather some of the people on the internet who do those things. He's saying Roman is objectively a more moral person, and others deserve hate more than him. I do agree to that to some extent, but again, like, Logan Paul literally said, why don't people attack Keemstar and Ethan Klein? So again, these people who were replying to Keemstar, not only are they on Twitter for Android, okay, I gotta stop making that joke, I get it, it's kind of getting old, but they're missing the whole point in the fact that Logan Paul said that. Then why even drop names? Just say not to and move on. Exactly. Like, I don't understand why Logan Paul felt really felt the need to go after Keemstar here. Anyway, at the end of the day, I don't hate Logan Paul for this, and I don't hate Keemstar for this. I think they're both respectable YouTubers. They've both done things that are completely wrong in their past, especially Logan Paul. But at the end of the day, they're both doing their thing. They're both on their grind, and I can respect both of them as creators. So you know what? I don't have any bad blood between them. So if any of you are watching this, which I doubt are any of you, then yeah, no hard feelings to any of you. But anyway, that's going to be it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're coming up close onto 150,000 subscribers, and yeah, hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Bye.